I smell fresh meat, yeah, we all eat. Clock and D, yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work, yeah, it's time to go to work. See, clock and D, yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work, yeah, it's time to go to work. Gone clock in, clock in, clock in, gone clock in, clock in, clock in, gone clock in, clock in, clock in, clock in, D, yeah, it's time to go to work. See the star on the field, you gon' meet D-Law. Thinking you an outlaw, we sending the predator. Jalen Smith scoop up the whole field, so how you gon' play here, bruh? If you release your dogs, we got a wolf hunt. LVE, tackling Dutchman coming. If you hungry and trying to eat like Zeke, we'll send in a taco to sweep you off your feet. Now you deep in the woods, plus we got a couple Collins. They say time and pressure make diamonds, the hot boy shining. Clock and D, yeah, it's time to go to work. They say, defense wins championships. We're here in Dallas, we got a top 10. When the hot boys hit the field, this is what we tell them. Listen what we tell them. This is what we tell them. Go to work. Clock and D, yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work, yeah, it's time to go to work. See, clock and D, yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work, yeah, it's time to go to work. Gone clock in.
The 2019 Dallas Cowboys season is only a few months from kicking off, but this year, let's do things a little different. Instead of just watching games at home or just going to a game, let's actually experience our Dallas Cowboys, just like West Coast does. Cowboys Experience is my one-stop shop for all my Cowboys game day weekends. Their packages are all inclusive, including 2 nights hotel accommodation. We'll pick you up and drop you off at the airport and game. Want to hang out and get autographs from current and former Cowboy greats like Drew Pearson? If you're ready to experience the Dallas Cowboys like no other, make sure you inbox West Coast or go to cowboysexperience.com today. The 2019 Dallas Cowboys season is...
This is Ray Williams. Thank you so much for hanging out with us at Dallas Cowboys Scout.
Appreciate
My
it.
man West Coast in this buck.
Thank you for watching West Coast.
Shout out West Coast Cowboys. You know, it's always love over here. Raider, Cowboy, always a Cowboy.
What's up with you guys? It is your boy West Coast, and we are live in the building, man. How are you guys doing today? It is Wednesday. We only have, 4 more days, but all you guys should have officially clocked in by now. Make sure everybody has gone in and put their clock in the inbox. But you guys already know what it is. I'm your boy West Coast, and if I'm in the building, you already know I'm going to have my Cowboy cousin on the line. So what's up with you, boss Cowboy?
Man, what's up, man? I saw Marcy say she shared to 45 groups.
Absolutely love it. And we appreciate you. We absolutely appreciate you, Miss Marcy, too. It looks like Big Sam shared a lot. Big Sam, I see you sharing from, he said, well, I didn't even say it, but I can see right now that Big Sam just shared the show from the Boss Cowboy page to 4 different groups. So shout out to Sam for sharing, man. We appreciate you, big dog.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you, Sam. I mean, that's my real brother right there too. Scout, love you, brother.
Yep, absolutely. And appreciate, we got some people over there watching on YouTube too. So appreciate everybody that's watching on YouTube, all my super chatters over there. We appreciate you guys for what you guys do. So, hey, before we get this thing started off, let's give some shout-outs real quick. Boss Cowboy, I know you see some people in the comment box that you might know.
Oh, yeah, plenty. Obviously, we got Marcy, Joe Trinchina, straight out of Italy, and then Tony P. Sylvia says, I'm clocked in. You know, her profile picture look like that proper type. I'm sorry to put that voice on you, but, hey, that's how you look. You know, I'm clocked in. in a good way. And then, obviously, we got my boy, Star Boy. You know, I talked with Starboy yesterday, man. I really love seeing Starboy, man. He's making his rounds to a lot of the social media guys, and they're showing him a lot of love. I love to see it, too. I mean, because his that clock in is growing, and it's growing through us, and it's growing through him, and he putting in that work. So, you know, I love to see it all day, Starboy, and he's a good guy. And then we have Kerry out of Houston, so I'm going to change my hat. I'm going to rep my hat the right way. I'm gonna rep my head for just a second, like they do in Houston, man. This for you, kid. I'm gonna rock it for about 5 minutes too, man. All for you. I'm putting my head to the side like they do in Houston. Yeah, make sure I got it right too, brother. Make sure I got it right. But yeah, we see y'all in the house, and obviously we got much love.
All right, I want to do a sound check real quick. I want to do a sound check, and everybody, because I can hear some people hearing me. I'm gonna do a sound check real quick. Ready? Town by.
Yo, clock in.
Log in.
Yeah, we got Bobby McClain in the house.
Hey, I need to know how I sound. How I sound? Do I sound good? Do I sound deep? Log in. You know what I'm saying? Did I sound good? How I sound? I sound good? Joe, let me know. How low, Joe? Do I sound better? I turned my microphone up, Joe. I turned it up, Joe. You know it's a bad thing when they say that West Coast is not loud, man. They usually.
I know, right? That was kind of weird, bro.
That was weird.
I was louder than you, bro. That was freaking me out. I can't do it no more, man. I'm gonna put my hat back straight. I'm sorry.
All right, Joe. Hey, I'm gonna turn because I don't want to be yelling at the mic too. So yeah, there we go. So Tony P, tell me how I sound, man. I turned the mic up a little bit better, so that should be a little bit better.
Bobby said perfect.
Huh?
So yeah, Bobby said perfect. You know, sound check tight.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me do one more. Ready?
Yeah. Clock in.
Hey, what up, though? hey, I got you down, Cowboy. I got you down, bruh.
I think I got Starboy down too. All right.
I think I got him down, man. Hey, Starboy's one of them dudes. Go ahead.
You got to get a little pirate in you. If you don't put that pirate tone in there, you're not Starboy, bro. So you got to think pirate.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I hung around Starboy for 2 days straight, and I came back home talking just like him. I don't know what it is, man.
I'm telling you, man. Your whole swag gonna feel like Starboy, man. You gonna start doing your hair pictures like this when you say.
Hey, Starboy is infectious, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I cannot wait until my hard hitter brothers and my family, man, until they get out here for training camp, because we about to have an absolute blast. You guys already know West Coast is gonna be in the building at training camp. I'm gonna be there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I'll be there the first 4 days of camp, and then I'm gonna be there throughout camp too. But I'm just saying, I know for sure I'm gonna be there the first 4 days of camp, and then we're gonna be going through more things like that. But make sure you guys tune in. I got my hard hitter brothers coming all the way from Texas. They driving up. They gonna meet me at camp. Stash Man gonna be there. It's gonna be absolutely live. We're gonna have exclusive footage that you can only see right here on Dallas Cowboy Scouting. So make sure you turn into that right now. It's gonna be on Dallas Cowboy Scouting. It's gonna be on Boss Cowboy Sports. We're gonna be doing articles and all types of stuff. So make sure you guys tune in right here. But it definitely sounds like we good now. We definitely sounds like we got my boy Starboy. You already know, man. What'd he say? What up, though? Hey, no. When you see the star on the field, you meet D-Law. Yeah. All right. So hey, that song gets me so hyped. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm telling you, man, it's growing and it should grow. It's a perfect song, man. I can't wait till they play it in the stadium.
Well, bro, I listened to the song from Dallas all the way to Little Elm. We didn't change it. Like my boy, when you're in Stash Man's truck, it's the only song that plays. And we listened from Dallas to Little Elm, and that was about a 40-minute drive.
Real quick, man, can I kick one more shout out, man?
Go ahead.
Before we get started.
And we just doing a sound check right now. We just doing a real fun. We had to wait for Jaquez to get in here too, because he always late.
I always got to give my boy Jaquez and Alfonso.
He always late. Like it's your third day on the job, and you done been late 4 days. Come on, you was late to the interview.
Come on now, we need you in the building, brother.
And you senior? Come on now, what example are you setting to
but
the kids?
Jaquez is one of my favorite guys too, man. Him and Alfonso. Love those guys, man. You know, Jaquez is a battler, and he's a facts guy.
Yeah, I like that, though.
And do you know the thing about Jaquez? I want to say just openly.
What's that?
Is he also will challenge us, and I'm cool with that. You know, like Jaquez is somebody that he's independent. I love those types to where he's not a fan. He a fan of truth, just like us. So
he almost sounds like he's a serious Cowboy fan out to uncover truth. That's why I told him yesterday, Welcome to
Yeah.
the Scouts.
Welcome to the Scouts, no doubt. And then obviously we got Gregory from Georgia, man. So, all the boys and the ladies that we see coming in, man, we going to obviously try to kick y'all shout outs because there's much love and there's family up in here. As long as I've been doing the show, it's almost like I know y'all. It's going to be good when we're in that game and we're going to be able to, drink a couple of beers together and, hug each other next. It's going to be good. I can't wait to see a lot of people.
Hey, so it sounds like West Coast is sounding good, so I ain't got no issues. I ain't gonna be having nobody in my inbox. All right, okay. So let's get on to what now we didn't did the, we got everything situated. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm gonna say something too. It's some folks that ain't clocked in right now because we got 29, 30 people that's watching right now. And what I'm starting to notice, training camp is going and people are starting to think that, okay, I can take a little break. Man, get on your game, man. Knock it off. Knock it off. You didn't roll this far. Don't jump off the ship now. We just about to start. You know what I'm saying? So wherever y'all at, you're supposed to be watching, get your butt on the show so we can get on here so you can know what's going on. Because if you ain't on the show, how you gonna know that the Dallas Cowboys just signed? We just signed a quarterback by the name. I'm gonna let what is his name is Tyron.
I think it's Tyron.
Tyron. I'm gonna have to get him to say his name at training camp, but. The Dallas Cowboys did sign quarterback Tyron. How do you say it? Say the whole name for me, please.
I think I'm gonna say Tyron Christian. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, because the Christians, if I'm not mistaken, he spells his name the Christian part the same way Covington spells his. So I'm assuming it's the kind of but he has a O at the end.
He's new, so we've never witnessed anybody really just say his name yet. So we kind of winging his name, but we're doing our best with it. But we looked at the film. That's the most important part. Yeah. As we looked at the film.
Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas Cowboys, we had him in for a workout yesterday, and the Dallas Cowboys liked what they saw, and they did go ahead and they did went ahead and sign him. So the Dallas Cowboys signed quarterback Tyron Covington out of Jackson, and this is my thing that I kind of like about this kid is his play is, and I don't want nobody to say I'm comparing him to Dak Prescott because I'm not, and he's from North Dakota. I apologize. I'm not trying to compare him to Dak Prescott, but I want to say that he kind of reminds me of like a cheap, dumbed down version of Dak Prescott. And why I say that is because when you look at his stats and you look at what he was able to do when he was in college, like he was a kid that for the most part found a way to for the most part take care of the football. You know what I'm saying? And he's also a kid that found the end zone a lot via his feet. Like he's a very athletic quarterback. There was also times, that I would assume that, around his drafting process that they even thought about like putting him in maybe like a tight end position or something like that, but he stuck with the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And I don't blame him, you know what I'm saying, with the way that the NFL is going. I mean, if you've played quarterback, why not give yourself the opportunity first? But I mean, just my first eyes on him, Boss Cowboy, the first thing I thought was he's a cheap Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? But what are your thoughts, man, after you looked at him a little bit?
Yeah, my thoughts when I looked at him a little bit is he's more athlete than quarterback. That's my first initial reaction from really watching, all the film that I could watch on him. His feet are pretty much all over the place. His accuracy has issues from what I saw. And he takes his eyes, he doesn't leave his eyes downfield when he gets flushed out the pocket. So, he's somebody that's a real project that would be almost a reach to come in and even push, I think, Rush and White. But I think a lot of us are excited about him because we still anxious for an upgrade at backup, So from what I saw some judgment issues too. It was one time that he was, trying to run for a first down, and he was right there at the sticks, and he tried to put a move on the guy and actually went backwards and lost the first down instead of just kind of tucking his head, knifing defenders, which means that you split the defenders when they trying to tackle you and going for the first down. It's like he lost track of the chains. So it's a couple of things that shows me this is going to be a real good Kitna project, I would say, because if Kitna is as good as a teacher as he's advertised to be, he has now a project type player who has the athleticism and the rawness, but it's a lot of work that what I saw. Like I want to see his feet better. He wasn't playing his feet. There's a lot of stuff that I saw that to me said and screamed work, and more so a camp body.
Yeah, I hate the word camp body because Antoine Woods was a camp body, and here he is, about to be one of the probably one of the higher paid defensive tackles on our team. One thing I do like about him, though, and I do want to give you a little bit of pushback, he actually has a higher passer rating than Dak Prescott in college. Another thing about him is his senior year of college last year, he had 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He only had 1 year where he actually where he threw over double digits of his touchdowns. I mean, he only had 1 year where he actually threw double-digit interceptions. Now look at this. He started 3 years. In all 3 years that he started, he went over 30 touchdowns all 3 years. His first year starting as a quarterback at his first year at South Dakota. I keep saying North. It's South Dakota. At South Dakota State Jackrabbits. At South Dakota, his first year, he went 30 touchdowns for 9 interceptions. Dak Prescott, his rookie year and NFL win, I think he went 32 for 4. You know what I'm saying? His next year, 2017, he struggled, but guess what? The kid still put up 35 touchdowns in the air. Now think of this, right? While putting up 35 touchdowns in the air, he also put 9 touchdowns on the ground. So last year, and that was his junior year. You know what I'm saying? That was the year where he had the most interceptions, the 14 touchdowns, the 14 interceptions. So while throwing 14 interceptions, he also equated for 43 touchdowns. So 43 for 14, that's not bad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Then also look at 2008, his last year in college. Last year in college, he averaged 8.5 yards per throw, 9 yards per throw. That means he's pushing the ball downfield. He had 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and then something that I want to kind of illuminate about him too is I have this. Let me see if I can get this over here real quick. Let me see if I can get him. Hold up. There you go. Look at them sacks. 13, 20, 22, and 15. Remember, in college they only play 14. They play 13 to 14 games, depending on where they're bowl eligible or whatever they are. So I mean, I'm not saying that the kid has some sack issues, but I will say this. He was definitely an athlete, but I definitely don't want to label this kid I don't want to label him no camp body. And to be honest with
you grading the numbers, and that's good. That's why we're not really disagreeing. When you look at him from his macro numbers, his numbers look very production. I was grading the film that I saw.
Yeah, the exact. That's and I'm agreeing with the film too.
Numbers from the numbers, yeah, it looked good. It's the numbers scream good. I was more so talking about what I saw mechanically. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I was grading one tape. You don't never really grade one tape. You're supposed to grade at least 2 or 3, to really, because you might be grading a bad game, and everybody can have a bad game. So, but at the same time, I was just grading what I saw from the tape. I didn't like his feet. I didn't like his accuracy, but it was also some ball drops in that game too. It looked like it was a championship game as well. Yeah. Because he was playing North Dakota State. And they always in the running.
Yeah.
So. But it's one of those things that where, I'm not trying to insult the guy. I'm just saying what I think I see based on what I saw on tape, but macro wise, his numbers actually do look good, and it looks really good, but it looks like he's going to be a little bit of a project.
Yeah.
From the one tape that I saw.
Can I say something, boss? But can I say something that's even more exciting? Because guess what? Dalton Strom had good numbers too, and he looked good on film too. And guess what? He made it to week 2. You know what I'm saying? But This is something that I will say and that I like about this kid, and that is he will instantly be the one quarterback on our team that looks like the starter. And to be honest with you, I absolutely hate it when you have an athletic quarterback and then you have a bunch of pocket quarterbacks, guys who are better in the pocket as backups. You want to know why, boss? Because if Dak goes down, your entire offense is going to change. You want to know why? Because they're not the same type of quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Cooper Rush. I think he's a great backup quarterback. But to be honest with you, like, he's not the same type of quarterback as a Dak Prescott. And I think that's why you have a guy like Rico Gathers who will exceed and excel with a Cooper Rush. Why? Because Cooper Rush is going to do more of your traditional quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Part of his great ability is his athleticism. You know what I'm saying? So I actually like it that finally the Dallas Cowboys, and then also you got to think like this. My backup quarterback, like he don't got to be good right now because the amount of money that I'm about to give Dak Prescott, bro, he need to play every single game. I'm about to give Dak Prescott $30 million. Now, don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? If something happens, I do want to have, someone there. But, bruh, I'm not thinking in no fashion or form that my backup quarterback is going to see the field this year. Why? Because I believe that this Thursday or Friday, Dak Prescott's going to be $30 or $40 million more, more expensive. You know what I'm saying? So, you're telling me that, hey, you give John Kitna the opportunity to work this kid and always work Dak Prescott and then also work a guy who has similar traits. I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Think about this, Boss Cowboy. I mean, maybe we can figure out since Dak is he does run the ball, maybe we can design some plays where we have a quarterback out there like with New Orleans where they literally just ran him. Like they'll use him to get to the outside instead of making Dak run on the outside and get killed by a Washington linebacker. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, if they can really kind of polish this guy, because one thing that was clear, even coming out of Mississippi State, go look at Dak mechanics compared to how he played in the Senior Bowl and then after the Senior Bowl. Some people say that Dak was the same quarterback from Mississippi State. It's not true. It's not true. I mean, the Dak change really was obvious from the Senior Bowl. Like, if you go watch Dak mechanics from the Senior Bowl and you watch him at Mississippi State, everything about him looks different.
You know who that was? Can I tell you who that was? Can I give him his credit?
Yeah, please do.
His name is Billy Gonzalez. He's the offensive coordinator at Florida right now. Billy Gonzalez, he's the guy that I wanted because I remember that's one of the things that – because before me and Boss were doing shows, we had moments on the internet where he said really good stuff and I said really good stuff, and we'd be like, dang, I like what you said. And this was one of those moments. I remember I was in a group and Boss Cowboy said, man, whoever got Dak ready for the Senior Bowl is who they need to go get right now. Yep. And you know what I did? I was the guy that went and did the research to find out who he was. So you said it. I was just the guy to go find out who it was. And ever since then, I fell in love with Billy Gonzalez, man. Every single year, he has a quarterback that throws at least 8 to 9 touchdowns to 3 to 4 different wide receivers. Every single year. Every single year.
Right. Because there are certain people that can teach the position. Because when you're really teaching quarterback teachers are not like schemers.
Can we say whisperers? Quarterback whisperers?
You can call them quarterback whisperers. They really know how to break down how to be successful at the position. And they see it and they teach it. Like, everybody can't do that. That's a rare skill set. So, but you can see it in Dak. And I just dare anybody to do it. Go watch Dak, even in his best games at Mississippi State. Then watch him in the Senior Bowl when he was the MVP of the Senior Bowl, and you'll see beautiful mechanics, beautiful feet.
You mean the same Senior Bowl Carson Wentz played in? And
he's supposed to have been this, highly touted guy, and he was compared to Dak.
Outbeat. So you're telling me that Dak Prescott not only beats Carson Wentz in the regular season, but he actually beat him and paid better than him in the Senior Bowl?
Yeah. And really across the board, because I just wrote a new article, and
articles love those.
Yeah, I wrote another one. I wrote 3 actually last night.
Boy, we're getting this DJ Khaled on. I love it.
But now check this. One of the things that a lot of people don't maybe forgot about Dak is Dak came in under great pressure. Like because people forgot that Jerry Jones publicly showed regret in drafting Dak Prescott. That was the only position that he came out publicly saying that he regretted. And he was saying he regretted not going up to get Paxton Lynch to be the backup for Romo. He literally even said we should have gave up a second and a third because the offer that they gave Seattle was a second and a fourth. It's all well documented too. It's going to be in my article. And that's the type of pressure that Dak came in under. And then even when Kellen Moore went down, they was openly, this is also public record too, They was openly shopping for Nick Foles.
Yeah, they were. He turned us down. He said it wasn't enough money.
Yeah. So a lot of people say, oh, Dak walked into a perfect situation. No, he didn't. And the only way he was able to shut the noise down is that he had a passing rate in his first preseason game of 158, 10 out of 12 throws completed, and the only 2 he didn't complete were drops by Sweat. He would have been 100% on everything, passing rate and touchdowns and completion percentage, 100%.
And when you saw, and the funny thing about it is, when we saw Swam, we asked him about that.
And we did. God, asked him about like, man, what was up with the 2 drops?
You messed my man up, bro.
They were bootlegs. They was like easy, wide open dump offs to him, and he dropped it.
Farted him. And just farted him.
I brought up all the stats to say this. Dak was better than Wentz in college. Dak was better than Wentz in the Senior Bowl. Dak also was better than Goff, Wentz, and I forgot the third quarterback. All of them together, all throughout they rookie year preseason. And then we know what happened during the season, and we know what happened 3 years later. Like, at some point, you got to say, you know what? The numbers and the performance under pressure don't lie. You know what I mean? You got one guy that was coming into the league anointed and highly touted. You got one guy that's coming in the league doubted and sitting behind a legend, and then had to jump in with the ones and make it happen without a lot of reps. That was Dak Prescott. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he did it. So, you know, I mean, that was my chance to really kind of brag on some of the research that I just did and forgot about, frankly, West Coast.
So. And you know how much Boss Cowboy love him some Dak Prescott. So anytime he get an opportunity, he gon'.
No, I love truth. You know what I mean? So,
see there you go. Hey, and real quick, man.
When I'm starting off the truth, that's what it is. It's like the man, because we say stuff that's false, like, oh, he walked into a dream. No, he didn't. Yeah. How would you feel going into your job and somebody and the owner say over the intercom, West Coast, I think we messed up by, they wish we went with the other guy. What kind of pressure you gonna feel on your job? Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, we made a mistake. And the owner says this, and you gotta calm all of that down, and you gotta play. You gotta quiet the note, and he does it. And and I'm gonna give y'all what my article title is. Hate on Dak Prescott is very good for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's what it is. And the reason is because he always pays his best when he's hated and doubted. It's just what it is.
Exactly. And I'm gonna be honest, and that's and this is my thing too, because I think, there's both sides of the tracks. You know what I'm saying? Dak Prescott does play his best. I would definitely say he plays his best under pressure. But at the same time, those first quarters and second quarters aren't as pressurized. So that's why I feel that you have that decrease in play in those first and second quarters. So the Dallas Cowboys as an organization need to figure out a way to manufacture that pressure so that you can continue to produce diamonds. You know what I'm saying? Because some of this stuff you can't teach. That's real. Michael Jordan can't teach you how to make a fadeaway jumper, you know what I'm saying, to win the game. You know what I'm saying? You just got to continue to make those situations. But to bring this back around to my boy Tyron, to give him his opportunity so the nation will understand who he is. At the end of the day, I don't want to call this guy a camp body because why? I knew the Cowboys. We've always said that the Cowboys were going to bring in a fourth quarterback. Why? Because you want to be able to cut somebody. You're going to cut one of these quarterbacks. You're going to throw one of them on your practice squad, and then you're going to take two of them into the regular season. So I mean, we always knew that the Cowboys was going to bring in a fourth quarterback. But at the same time, if this kid can ball, then you're left with the situation of what do you do with one of your backup quarterbacks? Because if you cut Mike White, you wasted a 5th round pick because he was a 5th round pick last year. You know what I'm saying? He was only picked about 7 spots later than where Dak was actually picked. So don't tell me what we can't do. I love when people be like, oh, a 5th round pick is nothing. All right, well, Dak was almost a 5th round pick if we wouldn't have had that compensatory pick. Shout out to the Denver Broncos for taking on Joe Looney. You know what I'm saying? So Dak would have been in the 5th round. So, I mean, there's a lot you can do with a 5th round pick. So that would have been a waste. And then you got to think like this. Cooper Rush, my thing on Cooper Rush is this, man. Like when they drafted Mike White last year, I was screaming trade him. Why? Because what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the one thing I love about one thing that I despise about my team is it seems like they don't have a GPS of where they're trying to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing I love about me and Boss Cowboy is we have a GPS of our career on where we want to go. You know what I'm saying? And then everything that we do is built around getting us to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, my goal is not to work for the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Boss Cowboys' job, I mean, don't get me wrong. If they come knocking, I will do it. But that's not my goal. My goal is to continue to build a brand so that I can leverage it and be able to pass this down to my children. Why? Because they're going to be Cowboy fans. You know what I'm saying? Same thing Boss Cowboys doing. So sometimes I believe the Cowboys don't really know the direction of where they're going. So it feels like they're just pulling straws and just making decisions each day as the day go by. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully what I see, like you said with John Kitna, if John Kitna is able to take a Dak Prescott and get him better and get him and to make him a better quarterback, then my thing is this: what is he able to do with a guy who has similar characteristics of a Dak Prescott? I would rather give him this guy to work with than a guy who's just totally different. Why? Because then everything that Dak's learning, this guy's learning. He just can't do it as good. You know what I'm saying? And that's supposed to be the mindset of a quarterback, backup quarterback. Because your starting quarterback is supposed to be able to teach your backup quarterback something. You know what I'm saying? That's why everybody keeps saying, oh, we need to get a veteran back. I'm like, what are you talking about? Dak is the veteran. Dude been in the NFL 4 years. You know what I'm saying? He's the oldest son. Like, you know, I can't have an older son. Like, my oldest son is my oldest son. He's just 4. You know what I'm saying? So Dak is the oldest son. He don't need a big brother. You know what I'm saying? For $30 million, he's the big brother. What we need to see now is, and this is something I've learned, and Boss Cowboy, you're really big on management and leadership, but this is just crazy, man. But I've learned this. The best way to learn, to get better at something is to teach somebody else. You know what I'm saying? To show someone else how to do it. And to be honest with you, I think that he would be a great project for Kitna, but I also think he would be a great project for Dak Prescott. That's what I believe. Because Dak is a great leader of men, and I think he would do really good with a young guy under him. Look what the Dallas Cowboys are doing with Zeke and Tony Pollard. You know what I'm saying? He's right up under his hip. Zeke is not intimidated by Tony. Why? Because Zeke knows that he's the man. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? Tony's going to make him better. Why? Because Zeke is not going to want to have, can I use my one cuss word? I don't want to use it right now because we're going to talk about we're going to talk about some other stuff that we're going to talk about Byron Jones. I might have to use it then. So no.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but you know, Zeke is going to have that extra like accountability. Why? Because the same way when I be walking around in my house and I want to make sure I smell and look good. Why? Because I know my sons are watching me. The exact same thing Dak is going to want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Alfonso said it best, Tank and Taco.
Exactly, man. And hey, man, I want you to kind of, before we switch to the next subject, because you wrote a really good article about the mentor program that they've done in the NFL. And I just want you to elaborate on that because, I mean, I think this would be a good situation. If you're going to give Dak Prescott $30 million, why not insulate him? So guess what? In his spare time, you know what you're going to do? You're going to put a rookie that's going to be nipping at his hips talking about, Dak, I want to be just like you. Dak, I want to be just like you. Dak, I want to be just like you.
Yeah, and sometimes the best way to teach is to actually just lead them without a bunch of talk. Because, see, Dak and players like Dak are really almost like the future, right? Because the threat of athletes like Dak who can actually beat you in the pocket and can beat you with his legs is underrated. That's super underrated. Like, a lot of people, like, you know, diminish that. But to be number one in rushing touchdowns,
3 years.
Yeah, and see, when people knock him, they always talk about the throws, but they just always leave out the rushing touchdowns as if that's not a weapon.
They do the same thing with Zeke when they say, well, Zeke only had 6 touchdowns. Well, no, he had 6 rushing touchdowns. He also had 3 receiving touchdowns, which is 9. And then he had 3 touchdowns that were called back on offensive holding. 2, Zeke was already in the end zone.
Right.
Shout out La'el Collins.
Exactly. And we look at the whole picture. A lot of people like to look at
touchdowns right there
to try to make, I guess, I'm not gonna guess the reasons, but I'm just going back to this guy, you know, Terrell and Dak. I mean, if you can get a quarterback that's athletic, that can stay in the pocket, but also beat you with his legs.
Yeah.
Because, see, I think to a degree, pocket passes is overrated. We want a pocket passer, a pure pocket passer. No, I want somebody that can do both. I want somebody that's dangerous at both because we know Dak can stand in the pocket because it's too many times that we've all said we want you to run more. We wouldn't say that if he was running too much. You know what I mean?
That's true. Duh.
That's
Yeah, duh.
So that means a lot of games he just sat there in the pocket to us even too much. But then when Dak takes off, he's a threat. Like that game that you always bring up with New Orleans when he got up and he was pumping, he flexed on them, and he got that first down. He was flexing on them boys.
Yeah.
It's not that many quarterbacks that can do that, man. You know, that can take on a safety shot when he's running in the end zone, push him off, and just show him the muscles. You know, that's like, man, so to get a guy like this going and to actually accept the evolution of the NFL quarterback would be very smart on Dallas' part.
Yeah, and then also I'm gonna ask you a question, man. Like, say if we can just say hypothetically, we can figure out a way to get this kid to be halfway as good as Dak. Halfway. He ain't even gotta be all of a Dak. Just halfway. What do you think someone would give you for a quarterback like that?
I mean, it's growing. It's a growing
and think about
value.
this. You didn't have to pay for nothing. He's not costing me nothing. You know
it's a growing value. It's like you look at the quarterbacks that's in the NFL, and we broke a record in terms of minority quarterbacks in the playoffs. And this is a copycat league. When the league sees stuff is working, they go get it and they value it.
Yep.
So to answer your question, as long as you're starting to see more and more success from dual threat quarterbacks to where they actually sometimes carrying teams and taking teams into the playoffs, then yeah, there's a value for guys like this if it can be demonstrated. And it's the exact same thing that happened with Romo when Romo was, coming from undrafted free agent and starting to get a little film on him where he was showing his talent.
San Francisco 49ers wanted him.
Exactly. Bill Parcells said, hey, man, you're going to have to sign this contract now because we're not going to put no more good film on you and then let you get away. They actually tried to leverage it against Romo. But to your point, if Kidden is actually able to build this guy and this guy is able to sit down and kind of mirror Dak, study Dak, sit at the feet of Dak, and analyze everything he does and really try to mimic his game based on Dak, yeah, it'll be some teams over time if he put good film out there that'll take a chance.
Yeah, and think about this. Even if you get a 5th-round pick for him, that's what I be saying. For these guys like Cooper Rush and these guys that are coming into your team, even if you get something is better. Why? Because you didn't have to do nothing. Like this guy's tried out for your team and made it, and then you're able to use him as an asset to get someone else. That's a come up. That's a come up. Speaking of contracts and speaking of some other things that we've kind of talked about, there's been my boy Mike Fish put out a report this morning, and it's kind of talking about he gave out some figurative talks, some figurative numbers around Ezekiel Elliott contract. And I wanted to kind of talk about that right after this commercial break.
This is Ray Williams. Thank you so much for hanging out with us with Dallas Cowboy Scout.
Appreciate
My
it.
man West Coast from this boat. Thank you for watching West Coast.
Shout out West Coast Cowboys. You know it's always love over here. Raider, Cowboy, always a Cowboy.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
The 2019 Dallas Cowboys season is only a few months from kicking off, but this year, let's do things a little different. Instead of just watching games at home or just going to a game, let's actually experience our Dallas Cowboys, just like West Coast does. Cowboys Experience is my one-stop shop for all my Cowboys game day weekends. Their packages are all inclusive, including 2 nights hotel accommodation. We'll pick you up and drop you off at the airport and game. Want to hang out and get autographs from current and former Cowboy greats like Drew Pearson? If you're ready to experience the Dallas Cowboys like no other, make sure you inbox West Coast or go to cowboysexperience.com today. The 2019 Dallas Cowboys season is... What's up with you guys? So, we're back. So, I told you guys this morning that Mike Fisher put out a tweet this morning. And if you guys been here long enough, you guys already know how it works with Mike Fisher. Mike Fisher is an independent reporter who works for the Dallas Cowboys. Nah, I'm playing with you, but he do for real.
That's kind of true, though. No, that's kind of true. Occasionally he does.
Yeah, occasionally he works for the Dallas Cowboys because we're actually going to use because my thing is this. How is it that Ezekiel Elliott is threatening for a holdout, and then all of a sudden you have a contract stock, numbers, preliminary numbers coming out? But either way, I love it, man. I love it. We've been saying here for the longest that was there a possibility of Zeke holding out? Yes, there's always a possibility. Why? Because it's America. But at the same time, we didn't think it was going to be possible, and we also feel that the Cowboys was going to get this thing done. So now that I see numbers coming out, oh yeah, it makes me feel even more like
it's something going on, brother.
It's some real negotiation going on right now. And so and unfortunately, this was going to happen regardless if Allen Hurns was on our team. I don't care what nobody say because Dak regardless of Allen Hurns on your team, Dak is still on a 1-year deal, Cooper's still on a 1-year deal, and Zeke is still threatening to hold out. So those dudes are still getting paid regardless. All right, so let's just look at the numbers that Mike Fish kind of put out. And when I see this from Mike Fish, this almost makes me believe that this is probably what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? If not close, it's going to probably be a million off or a million above. So this is what he has for this is what he's looking at for Ezekiel Elliott. He's basically $25.9 million signing bonus, $46 million in guaranteed, total contract worth $63 million, and then his average per year would be about $12.6 million a year. Now, the cool thing about this is, think about this. 2019, that would only be a cap hit of about $10 million. 2020, think about this. 2020, next year, when you have Jalen Smith to sign, they're going to save $2 million on Ezekiel Elliott. You know what I'm saying? So remember, next year when they're trying to feed us that we ain't got no money, remember, they're saving $2 million on Zeke alone. Because next year he'll only be an $8.7 million hit. And then from then on, he's about $10 million 2021, 22, 12, and then 23, 14, and 24, 24, $14 million. Now, I want to show you guys something. I want you guys to notice something. If you guys look at the base roster bonus, when are they actually getting paid the most amount of money in this contract? When do they get the bulk of their money? Because think about this. In 2019, Zeke is going to be what, 24? 2020, he's going to be he's going to be 25. 2020, 26. 2021, 27, 22, 28, 23, 29, 24, 30. Now think about this. In 2024, Zeke will be a 30-year-old running back, possibly making $14 million. Pretty sure that's not going to happen. Now, you guys, I just wanted to highlight that because I want you guys to understand why these players like Dez Bryant will be like, no, I'm not going to take a pay cut. Why? Because I'm just now getting to the bulk of my money. Look at how Zeke's contract set up. He's gonna make the most of. He's gonna make 60% of this contract from 2020 to 2024. Because think about this: between 2019, he'll make $18 million between 2019 and 2021. In 2022 and 2023 alone, he'll make $22 million. These are now you guys can see how these contracts are being structured. You guys understand why these guys won't take pay cuts. You guys understand why a guy like Dez is like, bro, I'm not going to take a pay cut. Why? Because I'm just now getting to the bulk of my money. Boss Cowboy, what are your thoughts? Now that I kind of highlighted that, I still like this contract though, and I still think it's reasonable. But I just wanted to highlight that so you guys can kind of understand that. But what are your thoughts on this contract?
I want to try to simplify it because it's so many numbers on here. It's easy to get lost, right? Because, when everybody talk about contracts, the first thing, and Roy Williams said this, he said what? Respect. Remember? Yeah. That was his key word that he talked about Monday. He said respect. So to look at just the contract in itself is not enough. You have to compare that contract to somebody else. So the contract that we got to compare it to is Gurley, right? Because you also got to factor in that they said out of their mouths that Ezekiel will be the highest paid running back. So they said that out of their mouth, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I look at is that true according to this preliminary number or maybe offer that was made by Dallas? In some areas, it's absolutely true, and then in some areas, it's not. So whenever you're trying to break down contracts and compare them with each other, I'm going to just say focus on three numbers to simplify it. The average, the APY, you'll see that number on everybody's contract, which is average per year. The total contract, and then the total guarantee. With those three numbers, you can simplify any contract. So we can look and see right now, which is good for Zeke, and probably most important is that they're offering him a bigger guarantee than Gurley. If you look at Gurley's contract, the total guarantee was $45 million. The offer to Zeke from Mike Fisher is $46 million.
1.3 more. That's just so that you can feel good.
Just so you can feel good and feel respected. And remember, that's what Roy Williams talked about. Respect me. Show me that you value me and the work that I put in. So and then that's an incremental increase, which is smart. You know, it's a small incremental increase. They didn't break the bank. They just gave you just a little bit more to say we value you more. Another bigger number is the total. Okay, so if you look at the total contract, 63. If you look at Gurley's total, 57. So in two areas, Zeke is getting more. Where Zeke is not getting more is in the APY, the average per year.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, damn, that's low. Zeke ain't no $12 million running back. But then when I saw the other numbers, I was like, basically, can I say something real quick? It's like an NBA series. You got to win 2 games. If it's best out of 3, you got to win 2 games you got to win 2 of these categories to consider you winning. Whoever's winning the 2 categories is the one who really won on the contract. Know, Zeke loses on one, but he wins on the other 2 because he has higher guarantee and he has a higher actual contract number.
And the most important number is really the guarantee.
Yeah, and that APY, because the APY lets you know what you can do with other players.
Is, so to me, that's the most important number. And the reason why I like this is because this is similar to a Wentz deal. So Wentz didn't break the average per year record, which was pretty customary for young franchise quarterbacks. I looked at this and we talked about this all offseason. We looked at it from Andrew Luck going forward. And it was always a small incremental increase until we got to Aaron Rodgers, who pretty much just exponentially inflated the market with his crazy deal that he signed in August.
It was crazy. The Packers were scared.
Yeah, they didn't want to lose him. His market value was too big to that franchise, and he held him hostage. That's really what I believe happened. But going back to why I like this deal and why I think it's a fair offer, and I would hope Zeke could take this and his agent don't push back too much on this, because remember, they're playing for Dallas will be paying a higher guarantee than Gurley for a player that has an amendment built into him to where if he get in any trouble with law enforcement, he can be banned for life. So the same risk that's on Wentz is almost attached to Zeke, if that makes sense, right? Except Wentz is his injury history, where they broke a record and guarantee for him, which was $107.9 million. The former record by Russell Wilson was 107. So they did a small incremental increase on the guarantee to put Wentz over. The agent is happy because he gets record breaking by his name, right? Because if you're an agent, that's what you aiming for. You always want to be able to say when you're recruiting clients, I break records in my deals that I do for my clients.
You want to know
That's
why?
what actually pushes up the market.
You want to know why? Because everybody wants to be Saquon Barkley's agent. Why? Because he's the next big name. So Saquon Barkley's art agent is looking and he's saying, hey, those are the numbers that we're going to have to beat. You know what I'm saying? So when you have these new agents when you have these new athletes that come into the NFL, you can say, hey, I got such and such paid. Not only did I get such and such paid, they're going to say, I made Zeke the highest paid running back in the NFL. I made Gurley the highest paid running back in the You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And to be honest with
And
you,
that's what actually people don't know what drives the market. That's what's actually driving the market.
because that just drives the franchise cap.
Yeah, and I'm talking about why all these contracts, when they say the next contract is always just a little bit bigger. That's just how the market works. But what's driving that? What's driving that is agents chasing record-breaking titles.
Yep.
That's what's driving that, because they want the resume to recruit other athletes.
That's how you get your other athletes.
Yeah. So if I'm a recruiter, like what I look like if I'm your agent West Coast, and let's say if you're Zeke, right? And then I come back with a contract that doesn't break a guaranteed record, a total contract record, or an average per year record. That's gonna look like a failure.
And then you also got to say when agents are advertising, they're saying this. If you go on their Twitter, they're saying I have 3 of the highest paid athletes in the NFL, 4 of the highest paid athletes. You know what I'm saying? That's how they are ranked in their world. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy that Antoine Woods. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, the agent that Antoine Woods got, Rosenberger, I forget his first name, but that was T.O.'s old agent. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I saw him get him, I was like, yo, Antoine Woods, if he ball, he gonna get paid. Why? Because that guy gets everybody paid. And not only did he gets everybody paid, he finds a way to get his athletes overpaid. You know what I'm saying? I forget it. It was Drew Rosenberg. There you go.
Right. And then one more thing I also want to say about this is, we've been saying on this show for the longest.
Jerry Jones hates him too.
Everybody hate him. When your agent is doing your job,
that's the only person I've ever heard Jerry Jones say that he disliked, and that was Drew Rosenberg, Terrell Owens' agent.
So check this. I want to say this because this is real important. A lot of us get in our feelings when we see kind of some of the off-season dealings going on, the ugly business side of football. So when you see something like it's been a leak that, Zeke is considering holding out, let's just stop and really think about what's more than likely going on. One, it could be just them trying to drum up news, or 2, is Zeke's agent trying to get him in the front of Cooper and Dak. And the fact that you're seeing contract numbers come out through Mike Fisher mean it's more than likely worked, right? So would you be mad at your agent or be mad at Zeke because he put himself at the front by becoming a squeaky wheel? No. And that agent did his job. The agent now got contractual numbers. Now, who are the guys that's still waiting on their contracts, West Coast?
You're half your offense. half your offense is on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I'm saying like in terms of big ones that's coming.
Dak's gonna get signed on. Dak Prescott's gonna get a contract on Thursday or Friday. I'm putting a number on it. Thursday or Friday, I'm gonna be on here and be like, yo, man, I've been telling y'all the boy was gonna get signed, but yeah, Thursday or Friday. He better, man. If he don't, Dak, you need to fire your agent. You need to hire me. So I'll get you paid, bro.
Because that'll be true. It'll be true. And let me tell you why. You're making a good point, because right now, this good boy stuff and this not being a squeaky wheel is not working for Dak.
It's not. And remember one of our first shows, bro. One of our first shows, boss. I said this. I said, boss, I'm gonna be honest with you.
He too nice.
Yeah. How long is your boy gonna play this nice role? He might get him burned. Because everybody yelling is getting. Think about this. Cole Beasley wanted off the team. They gave him what he wanted. Everybody is getting what they want.
The squeaky wheels are getting what they want. When Skandrick wanted out of here, he made noise.
He made one tweet.
Yeah. And think about it. Dez was the good guy. Remember that. Yeah. Dez stood back quiet and waited. And let's just hope that they still love me.
He got screwed.
No. What you should have did, Dez, is when they kept putting it off, you should have been putting it out there that I've been trying to meet with the Dallas Cowboys and they have not been meeting with me. I'm trying to get a deal done and talk about ways for me to stay on this team. He didn't do that. He sat back. He waited on them. What happened? Got cut. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things to where Dallas is showing you how to do business with them. You have to make noise. You got to use your shoulders hostage. You have to put leaks out there that you continue holding out. That puts you in the front. Now Mike Fisher got a rollout of a real numbers. Wow. Look at all these numbers that just came out. Why? Because he made the noise. So it's one of those things And it goes back to what we said also with Alan Hearns. Dallas is teaching you how to do business with them. You got to take the gloves off. See, they over there fighting with gloves. Now you got to take the gloves off and use your knuckles.
Yeah,
because that's what they gonna respect. They don't respect good. They don't respect honest businessmen. They don't respect kissing babies. Because remember what Williams said? I walked around Arlington.
Sure did.
I kissed babies. I lobbied to get it in Arlington, and they cut him.
And they cut him. And that was one of the things that, like, Roy Williams, he said that, like, that was part of the reason why he wanted to stay that year. He's like, I just wanted to be able to play in that new stadium at least one time. He was like, all the stuff that I did that offseason, like kissing babies, and he said they went door to door, knocking on people's door, because there was a lot of litigation that Jerry Jones had to go to get the city of Arlington to pay for that stadium. You know what I'm saying? So they was really trying to acclimate themselves. And he had players out there knocking door to door. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's probably the first time in their life they actually had to do a real job. You know what I'm saying? And Roy Williams said it like, man, I wanted to just be able to just play in that stadium for that sheer business. But guess what? At the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys are giving you the blueprint. They're giving you the blueprint on how to do business with them. And to be honest with you, this is all new. So I don't believe this is mainly a Jerry Jones pushing. I think this is a Stephen Jones pushing. And to keep it real, this is how business is gonna be. And it's not racial. So slap yourself if you think it's racial. Why? Because they did Travis Frederick the same way.
They did Frederick. They did Zach Martin.
They did Zach Martin. Zach Martin. Hey, man, let me tell you. I had someone the other day try to tell me, oh, but it doesn't matter because it was voluntary. I'm like, listen to me, right? There's two people that they say have never missed a practice, whether it be voluntary or in it, meetings, nothing. Jason Witten and Zach Martin.
Yep.
And they said this, when Zach, the day he did not show up to a voluntary practice,
it was obvious.
Exactly. They said the most obvious thing about today's practice was Zach Martin's car not in the parking lot.
Yep.
That was the most obvious thing that was different about the practice.
Yep.
So guess what?
Can you say that one more time, please?
Boss, when you show up to every single thing, yes, bruh, that's called a silent holdout. That's called I don't really want to do this, guys, so I'm going to do it in a way to show you guys that I'm really serious. Like, come on, guys, let's get this done.
Man, and I remember Zach Martin's face, bro.
2 practices.
It just took 2 practices.
2 practices, and Zach Martin's the highest paid guard in the NFL, too.
Yep, and they gave him a 6-year deal. But this is the deal, man. I remember Zach Martin's face. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it to Dallas, but he had to.
Yep, he didn't.
He didn't want to. You can see it on his face that he's the type of man that takes pride in excellence and being dependable.
He was probably saddened that it even had to get to that point.
Exactly. Those type of men take pride in, look, bro, I'm here early. I'm here all the time. Hurt or not, I'm here. He's one of those guys. One of the biggest things when they signed him from Notre Dame was this. He never missed a game.
Never missed a game.
So he was somebody that if his leg would have to fall off for him not to play. That's what kind of guy he is. And we asked him that when we saw him at the Cowboy experience. Remember we talked about how do you play through pain? And he told us his process. But anyway, for Zach Martin to have to do that, man, they teaching you how to do business. So anyway, so that's telling me Dak, Cooper, and fans, y'all better not get mad. If they decide not to show up just one day during training camp, remember this conversation. It's because Dallas is making them because they only paying the people that make noise. Yeah,
and I'm gonna tell you like this: it's Amari Cooper he's playing the role right now. I'm gonna keep y'all right now. He's playing the role because I'm gonna tell you this: as soon as Michael Thomas or Julio Jones get over $18 million, you're gonna see a totally different Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not gonna be disrespectful, rude, or nothing like that, because that's not his approach. But this nonchalant, I'm not really tripping on, being the number, the highest paid, wide receiver.
I only need so many targets. I'm not trying
I don't need. Basically, what he's doing? He's saying yes to every single thing, so that when Julio or Mike Thomas get their $18 million, he gonna walk into the office and be like, yes, I don't need that, but I do need my money. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's the approach. That's why Cooper is not in a rush to get signed right now, because if Cooper gets, that's why I don't think Cooper Michael Thomas or Julio are in a rush. They all waiting on all three of each other. Like all three of them are waiting. I think Julio Jones is probably by far the only one that can really get the dub. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, I don't think Michael Thomas is an $18 million wide receiver. I don't believe he is. Anybody that catches 81% of Drew Brees' passes, like, come on, bro. I think any wide receiver in the NFL that catches 81% of the passes from Drew Brees, who throws for 5,000 yards, is gonna be an All-Pro. That's just what I think. I think he force feeds it, and I mean that's what he does. You know what I'm saying? So but he's looking for 17, 18 million dollars. And guess what? You don't see and it's funny because you heard the other day that the New Orleans Saints actually offered him something in that range, but you don't hear none of them. You don't hear about him accepting it. You want to know why? Because he wants to see what Cooper's going to take. He wants to know, will the Dallas Cowboys give Amari Cooper 17, 18 million dollars off of 700 yards? Because that's what his agent's going to say. You know what I'm saying? Well, look what Dallas gave Amari Cooper. He only played for them 8 games, 10 if you consider the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave him $17 million, and he only had 704 yards. Look what my guy did.
Mm-hmm. That's the game.
And then guess what? Cooper's gonna tell. Guess what Cooper's gonna say to when Cooper goes when Cooper goes to get his money and Michael Thomas is already signed. You're gonna say, hey, Cooper's gonna say, guess what, bro? In 7 games, I got you 704 yards. I saved your season. I mean, we went from 3-5 to the second round of the playoffs. I had 2 of the best games as a Dallas wide receiver. And remember, I only knew Dak 6 days of my life.
What you think will happen with the offseason?
Yeah, what do you like? And that's what. And remember, when I tell you this, I only knew Dak 6 days of my life. Like, he's a good guy. I follow him on Twitter, but I only knew him 6 days of my actual life.
And that's big.
And we got 704 yards. Now you're gonna tell me that Michael Thomas caught 81% of Drew Brees' passes? Jerry, I think if I caught 81% of his passes, I'd probably get about 2,000 yards. You know what I'm saying? 2,500. You know what I'm saying? And they gave him 17 million. Imagine what I'll do with Dak, and he only played a couple games with him. You see how that leverage goes back and forth? Like, each one of them, and the funny thing about it is, each agent has very valid points. You know what I'm saying? And they just count each other out. You know what I'm saying? But this week, I think you're gonna see. I could see 2 out of the 3 getting signed this week. I could see 2 out of the 3 getting signed. I could see Zeke getting signed this week, and I could see Dak getting signed this week.
Yeah,
Cooper,
that's what I see.
Cooper. The thing about Cooper is Cooper is gonna get a contract because there's no way, like, the Dallas Cowboys will screw themselves if you allow Amari Cooper to play for $13 million, ball out, and hit the free agency.
Yep.
You're going to screw yourself. Go ahead, boss.
I like how Michael said it. He said no one. He talking about Cooper.
Yep.
He said no one wants to set the new market. They want to benefit from someone else setting it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's, man.
From a accounting standpoint, Cooper makes sense to do it now for us.
Yep.
So, like,
but it don't make sense for him, though. It don't make sense for him.
So that's why you always heard us say Cooper would be first because of accounting. But now when we're looking at the market conditions and we're looking at the fact that it's receivers still sitting out there, like, obviously, my research guy, let me find him, Kerry. Kerry talked about, because, he look at everything. He was talking about that Julio is in Atlanta right now. He's at camp, but he doesn't participate in 11-on-11 drills. So what is he saying? See, Kerry, my boy, but Kerry's a major research. He's sending the signal, pay me. So it's people still sitting out there waiting to get that deal done. And when you mix Kerry's comment with Michael's comment, both of those blend to perfect truth. And so when you get the perfect truth, that makes what West Coast said just make all the sense in the world. That I can see Zeke this week and I can see Dak.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you like this. If Michael Thomas gets $18 million, that just pushed Julio to 21. Because Julio's going to easily say, I'm only $2 million better than him. You think that? You know what I'm saying? Julio's trying to get to that 21-ish. You know what I'm saying?
I think what they go do, and this is just a guess, and this is from me looking at
last year for free.
Because the receiver market is different from the quarterback market, where you see the incremental increase in quarterbacks is an average per year. the receiver market can have the same average per year with 5 receivers in a row, but they'll have different total contract values and then higher guarantees.
Yeah.
So I think most of them go stay around 18 million because it was a run of receivers where it was like 5 or 6 of them that was all at 16 million or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think the receiver market is going to be all around 18 million on average, but they go vary in guaranteed money.
Yeah, but I think, but see, the thing about it is Julio was asking for 20 last year. And remember, they gave him, and what they did is they took $3 million off of the end of this contract, and they basically just gifted him $3 million. That's how the Atlanta got Julio Jones to come to practice last year. Because one, he was on a 2-year deal, and then they brought in that rookie and that Calvin Ridley kid, and I know Julio Jones for the first time in his life was tripping. You know what I'm saying? So Julio
that's
Jones.
a good point. See, I didn't even know he was lobbying for 20. So when you add
he was lobbying for 20 last year.
Yeah, when you add in that into the equation, he gonna be the one that pushed the market up, and he gonna be the last one to sign.
And think about this: you just had Adam Thielen get 17. You know what I'm saying? You got Minnesota; they got a $16 million wide receiver, and they got a $17 million receiver. You got Julio. You got Odell Beckham at $18 million right now. Now, Odell Beckham, name-wise, is the best receiver in the NFL. But I think that Julio Jones is. I think when he goes in with this agent, he can prove a really good point that he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. And Julio is responsible about 1,500 yards of their offense. You know
bro.
So it's like Julio's another guy where he could be playing like some of these agents, you could tell they're really picking them off their demeanor because Julio Jones really has he could really put them under the fire if he wanted to, but at the same time he did. And you know what they did? Like I said earlier, they literally just cut him a check for $3 million and gave him $3 million and he came to practice. So he made his base salary, I think it was like $16 million, something like that last year, and then they gave him an additional $3 million. That's how they got him to come to practice. So he made technically almost 19 last year with his 9-touchdown scoring self. Julio Jones, and I'm going to tell you this. Julio Jones, 2017, he caught less touchdowns than Dez, and he dropped more balls. That's all I got to say. I'm done with him.
Ron Smith said, what do you guys think about the Cowboys picking up their rookie QB? We talked about that the first hour of the show. So when we finish with the show run, just run it back and you'll hear that. We spent a lot of time on that, and you're going to like it. We went in depth with it. Just want to answer that for you.
Joe says they should sign Dez so he can retire a Cowboy. He deserves it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Roy Williams deserves it. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a gang, like there's a whole legion of players that deserve to come back. And
I actually fully agree with Joe Tricino. Like fully. Like go ahead.
Dez, I don't want to talk about Dez retiring. Dez can still play.
You know that too. Yeah, that too. Because I was gonna add that to it. I agree with him from a play standpoint. Because we all know now, James Slater has put it out.
It wasn't him, man.
I mean, she put it out there, and she said she talked to the front office as well as the players, and they felt like Scott Linehan played you less if he had something against you. So with that type of toxic leadership that was actually over players, you have to give everybody a clean slate. If you're trying to really run an organization on fairness, if you're trying to send a message, go ahead and admit it openly that, hey, we messed up by getting rid of Dez. We went and sided with Scott Linehan with his receiver by committee vision to get rid of him. And everybody know that he was one of the main people that was trying to run Dez out the building. Everybody knows it. So it would be good to kind of put good karma on us. It would be smart because he's a red zone threat. So you can use Cooper between the 20s to push the chains, but when it's time to score, who's better?
And also,
who is better?
And then Jerry Jones, you're not throw a shot at Jerry Jones's pocket because you know Jerry Jones loves yachts. Jerry Jones, then you will be cheap. Then you will have the 3 highest selling jerseys in the NFL.
No doubt, his jerseys will resell quickly.
Are you serious? Are you kidding me, bro?
Oh, resell quickly. I go buy. I
sell them in 3. Sell them by the 3.
No doubt, and and then more than likely he'll be humbled. He will be appreciative. And he'll be open because Cooper showed he's the number 1 threat. And plus, this is the biggest thing to me. You'll be having Dez going against Nichols. Oh, my God.
Because Dez, think about this. If Dez was, the reason why I'm okay with it is because, like, the Dallas Cowboys use Dez, right? But this would be a situation where you could use him again and he wouldn't be okay. He would be 100% okay with it. Like, Dez, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you like $1 million. You want to know why? Because you took $780,000 to go play for the Saints. All right? We love you more than the Saints do.
All right.
Mhm.
We're going to give you $1 million. Honestly, I'll give you in all fairness, I should give you what I gave Jason Witten because I know you'll produce more than Jason Witten will. So, okay.
No doubt.
So I'm not going to disrespect Dez. So, Jez, I'm going to give you $2 million. The monies that I just got from Hearns, I'm going to give you $2 million of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I
That
still
was
saved $3
smart.
million. What if I told you the Dallas Cowboys could literally just give him $2 million from the money they saved from Hearns and still save 3? And what do you pick up? I think Dez can get me 6 touchdowns. Why? Because all I'm going to require him to do is run to the back of the end zone and jump straight up.
That's what he does.
But that's why we have Rico Gathers. Well, that's another subject.
Man, but I mean, I'm going with Dez over Rico.
Absolutely. I'm saying, but they got to guarantee.
Because Dez, he's so confident in that area.
And he's
That's where he's like, bro, when it comes to this part of the game, I'm a master. Yeah. I'm the franchise leader in a short period of time in touchdowns. This is what I do. Now, between the 20s, you might fuss at me and say I don't run routes. Well, we got Cooper to do that.
Yeah, we don't need you. I don't need him to do that.
I don't need you to do that between the two.
We got him like a tight end who's a wide receiver.
Exactly. When it's time to score,
go in.
You got to go account for Dez and Coop. Oh, brother.
And think about this. Dez, Coop, and Randall Cobb in the slot. I apologize. I forgot to tell you that.
I forgot about that, too.
Randall Cobb in the slot.
It's actually just make too much sense. And what Dallas would have to do was have to admit, and they don't even have to admit, just do it.
I'm going to tell you what would happen.
I'm going to be a Bryce Butler, just do it.
Hey, boss, I'm going to tell you what would happen if you had that. I'm going to tell you what would happen. You would, if I'm a team, I would tell my number one receiver to get on Dez. Because in the red zone, Dez is way more of a threat than Amari Cooper. I'm sorry.
No doubt.
Amari Cooper's not a jump ball guy. That's not his. Nope. Like, he can make the spectacular catch, but he's not a jump ball guy.
He beats you with quickness.
Yeah, like Amari Cooper needs about 3-4 yards. Get him space, and he's in the thing. But I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. The what I would like to see is Dez and Rico beside each other.
Bruh.
One going short, one going high. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean by one going short, one goes high means if we're on the 5, one's going to run to the back of the end zone, one's going to run to the middle of the end zone. And they're going to go different directions and jump straight up. And you know what Dak's going to do? Whoever he sees first, throw the ball. That's the matchup I would like to see, because that athleticism, bro, these corners, they're not, most of the NFL doesn't have the 6'4", 6'3" corners like we do.
Nope.
They're not doing that. They're still your typical 5'11", 6'1"-ish corner. That's what you're seeing.
Yep.
So, bro, like, that's where I want to see the, you know what I'm saying? Then and then think about this. You put Rico and Dez on this side. You put Cooper and Cobb right beside them. You have two guys that absolutely accent each other. Let me tell you what their offense is going to do. You're not going to man up. Why? Because there's too much of a risk of somebody going to be open. You can't go man on that. Bro, there's no way you're going to tell me you have a team of DBs that deep at 4 to go man. The only team I trust to do that is us. You know what I'm saying? And that's because of Chris Richard. That's the only reason. Like, would you go man across the board? Cooper, Dez, Cobb, and a Rico? Bruh, somebody's going to win. Somebody's are going to win. At least 2 guys are going to win.
It would be one of the smartest things the Cowboys did in a very long time, and very cheap. So, you know, you have some people, I can already hear without even looking at it. You guys are crazy. He didn't need to bring back no Dez. He was a cancer. Stop. Just stop. I mean, all you got to do is, because this article coming out, this could probably be my next one. We still got red zone issues, and putting it on rookie, first-time OC Kellen Moore, not wise.
The biggest problem in all the NFL, you know what that is? Every team in the NFL, except for the team that won the Super Bowl, has a problem with what? Scoring points. Because you either don't score enough or you didn't score enough then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And this is not a lobby for Dez, because we love Dez and you throw the X. We love Dez, and it just wasn't right. No, this is just about football. This is about putting down your ego and just doing the best thing that's for the football team. Period. I mean, it ain't about loving Dez, because if Dez got out here and he wasn't himself, then cut Dez.
Cut him. That's the same thing the Saints said. What was cut him?
Yeah, if he not himself, then if he didn't take care of his body and he was a diva and he was working on his social media project over working on football and he not himself, let him go. But in terms of the risk, he's worth the risk for $1 million or $2 million easily.
Yeah, but my thing is this: like, if Dez Bryant was saying stuff that nobody else was saying, and then a year later it was proven true, kind of like what happens here on our show. You know, everybody calls us conspiracy theorists and calls us everything but a child of God. And then when it's proven true, those people never come back and say, "Yo, West
They
Coast,
just disappear.
yeah, boss, yeah, you know, we were tripping about Byron Jones. Like, you know, when you were telling us that he was lying about the surgery and like he probably wasn't hurt and like he just did it only because he didn't want to get traded. Like, yeah, we get it, bro. You was right. They never come back and say stuff like that, so it's whatever. But this is what I will say about the Dallas Cowboys is this: when you're looking into free agency, you're always trying to look to. That's why you guys are blowing my hey, ask about Mike Daniels. Ask about Mike Daniels. Why? Because you guys know that he's a high end talent for cheap that's gonna be hella motivated. If you're looking out into the scheme of things, there's not a more motivated vet than Dez Bryant. And to be honest with you, if you're still saying that Dez Bryant was a cancer, you're the cancer. You want to know why? Because you're now spreading stuff that's not true. You know what I'm saying? So if you're saying that Dez Bryant but he had so many drops. No, you're being a cancer because that was not true. That wasn't true. You know who led the NFL in drops in 2017?
Cooper.
Amari Cooper did. And guess what? You guys all love Cooper, right? Okay, so let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's you know, that's what we
Let's remind them of this too.
Huh?
Guess who Sanjay Lau uses? I know you know this, but I'm gonna just say it because I know you already know this. But guess who Sanjay Lau uses in his teaching tapes? You can tell him, West Coast.
Shoot, man, he uses all types of well, if we're on the same subject, he uses the number one technique that I know that he was using out there was the hand thing. We talking about the same thing. But hey, real quick before we get on, man.
Let me say who. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you know what's funny? Before I go, I want to say something real quick. Shout out to my boy Marcus McCray. I appreciate you, brother, with the $10 super chat, man. I appreciate you, brother, man. Shout out to you, man. If you got any questions or anything, throw that in the comment box and we will get to that, man. I appreciate you. But yeah, man, Sanjay Lau actually said this, and that's our receiving coach, and he said that he actually was looking forward to coaching Dez. Like, Sanjay wanted to coach Dez. And the reason why he wanted to coach him is I think Sanjay felt the exact same thing that John Kitna felt about Dak. John Kitna looked at Dak and was like, what was the one thing John Kitna kept saying about Dak? Well, there's not a lot of stuff that I have to fix. So it's like, I'm going to fix some small things and get a large response from it. You know what I'm saying? Basically, meaning is, I'm going to fix one or two things with Dak. He's going to go out there and be the same guy, and everybody's going to give me all the credit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what business is about. And that's what Sanjay Lau wanted to do. He wanted to take Dez and fix one or two things, and then everybody's going to label him as the guy who fixed Dez. And guess what? John Kitna is going to use Dak Prescott to get a head coach job or to get an elevated position. I guarantee, especially if Dak Prescott plays well. I'm not saying right now, but I'm saying if Dak Prescott plays well, then guess what? He's going to be known as that's the guy.
Quarterback fixer.
That's the guy who fixed Dak Prescott right there.
And he only made a few tweaks, literally.
And he even said it.
Tweaks.
He even said it. He's like, I only got to make a few tweaks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is crazy, but it's true. I mean, you hit that on the head.
You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you. Hey, that was for my boy Marcus. All right, so we got Vosh Lombardi in the house. Hey, we also got producer G, man. We got some celebrities up here, so we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, what's up, Vosh? What's up, producer G?
Absolutely, man. Vosh, let me see what he's talking about over here. He says I don't like how Dez fit with the new group. He says the same way Noah Brown doesn't fit. Just my opinion. I mean, I could totally agree, and I'm gonna be honest with you, my boy Voss. He is like when it comes to
how. Just real quick, how Voss? Explain fit. Are you saying personality or play?
Personality or play. That's a good point. Because I mean, personality-wise, I think he'll be okay personality-wise because Jalen Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dak Prescott was all throwing up the X in that Atlanta game. And then can I say something real quick without hurting anybody's feelings? I just want to say something without hurting anybody's feelings. As an employer, I could give a damn how my employees feel about if they like each other. Not like, I'm sorry, like there's always gonna be someone that don't like each other, but can you play together? You know what I'm saying? There's rumors that Jordan and Pippen didn't like each other until they started winning. And it's funny how people can play together and put all that aside when they start winning. You know what I'm saying? Because winning is kind of like that glue. You know what I'm saying? The only time you worry about chemistry, and I'm going to tell you guys this, the only time you worry about chemistry is when you are losing. That's it. You don't ever hear about good chemistry when someone's winning. You want to know why? Because when it's winning, it's because of the offense, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because of this, it's because of that. But guess what? As soon as you start losing, we got to have a meeting, Boss Cowboy. They're going to have a secret meeting. They're going to talk about it. They're going to get the chemistry, and then they're going to put it on, and they're going to be fine. No.
Man, that's Rich Voss's on, man. I really want, because I want to hear, like, really, like, what he thinking, because it's hard to do it by text. Maybe we'll do that one day.
All right.
But I just say this also to that point, that I'm the same way with you, West Coast. Like, I've also led people, and Voch played, I played, and Voch just say this, I know. It was many people that he played with that he didn't like. It was many people that I played with that I just didn't like, but when it came down to it, did we perform well on the field? That was the biggest question. You know, so, and,
But
you
just
know.
not bringing someone on the team, I mean, if anything, bro, if they can get along with Jason Witten, and from what I'm hearing, I think the fans love Jason more than the actual players did. And I'm just saying, I can only say that because I've been around a couple players.
Yeah, man. D-Long said it himself.
Tell him what Swam said. Tell him what Swam said.
Funny. Tank said it. He said it. Dez is the heart and soul of our team. The people that called him Kansas was the people that was trying to lobby to get him out.
Yeah.
When you go look at what James Slater said around the same period that they was lobbying to get him out, James Slater uncovered the whole truth. And you know what she said?
What she said?
She said there was zero
Infighting
in the locker room. Nothing. She said all the players are complaining about one thing. And what was that? Play calling. I got the tweet from 2017. I got it. She said it. So while they was leaking out to try to get him out the door, you know, diva, cancer, all those adjectives to try to really kind of salt the fan base to get ready to fire him, it wasn't really going on, according to James Slater. A whole year later, what was they still complaining about? And it wasn't just the assertive guys like Beasley and Dez.
Well, why don't you say exactly what did Beasley say? Beasley said exactly this. He said management picks and chooses who will get how many snaps that people will get. That's what Cole Beasley said.
Yeah, and so let's just think about it though. Who else then was still complaining about what James Slater said?
Allen Hurns.
Right now, Hurns, you can't say Hurns was a diva. Nobody better not say that about Hurns. And you can't say that about Hurns. I'm sorry. Now I'd be upset with you because I met the guy. I met his mom. I saw his story, and I know it's genuine. And all the players vouch for him. And Jason Garrett ain't never held nobody's hand that was injured with tears in their eyes. Let's be honest. He's a special man. And yes, he also talked about play calling. Guess who else talked about play calling?
Amari Cooper.
Oh yeah, and is he a diva? No. So really, let's look at what it more than likely was. It was more than likely Billy Scott Linehan, and Dez was the scapegoat for Scott Linehan. So that's why, you know, and I'm not singling out Voch because obviously we got a lot of respect for Voch. But that's why I'm like clean slate everybody. Like when you know you had a leader that was putting their thumb on the scale and picking and choosing who they like versus who they don't like, who will give reps, who they like. Throw it all out and give everybody.
Cowboy, there was a judge in the state of Texas in 2009, I think it was, who it was found out that this judge was sentencing. He had bought some private stocks in a rehabilitation camp for youth. So this judge, the state of Texas did an investigation, and they were finding out that this judge had the highest juvenile sentence rate. And basically what he was doing is he was sentencing these kids to his rehabilitation camp. So you know what they did? They threw out over 600 convictions. Over 600 kids got clean skates. You want to know why? Because you can't trust none of it.
Great example.
You couldn't trust, so they threw 600 kids got their records expunged, and they should have. They should have. So it's the exact same thing with Scott Linehan. If you look on this situation and you say that, and also Vach, I love my boy Vach. I'm actually a Patreon on Vach, so I can legally say this. Vach, you gotta slap yourself for mentioning Noah Brown and Dez in the same sentence. And like, no. If Noah Brown was a Dez Bryant, I would get it.
Yeah.
But no, and to be honest with you, you can't do my boy Dez like that. Not 73 touchdowns.
When the ball is in the air with Noah, he falls. Yeah. When the ball is in the air with Dez, he gets acrobatic. That's the truth.
Yeah, and Dez blocks downfield, so why not?
How many catches did Dez make in the end zone where he contorted his body and did some old crazy jump over your head type of stuff?
Yeah.
Right? Where he jumping up over everybody with the Jordan feet up to go get that ball and come down with it. Yeah. Like his touchdowns.
How many passes did Dez drop in? I mean, if you want to just look at drops, how many? I mean, open field, okay, but how many in the end zone did my boy drop? Like, you know what I'm saying? When it mattered, you know what I'm talking about? Don't make my shoulders start, you know, when your shoulders start getting like this, don't take me there, man. Like, don't take me there, man. Like, this boy Dez didn't call touchdowns like this, man.
I wish he could come defend this. I would want him because he's smart. He know ball. I would want to hear, like, because it would probably be some real good back and forth. Maybe he got some good points on it. I just can't see it, though. I can't see Noah Brown and Dez at all, even a little bit, even a tiny bit in the same sentence. Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah, not Noah Brown. Like, talent-wise, nothing. You know, not talent-wise. Okay.
Nothing.
All right, so my boy Drunk Punch over at Drunk Punch 7 says a clean slate for Rico, too. You absolutely right. I remember when we saw Cooper Rush this past weekend. When I saw Cooper Rush, we interviewed him. I asked him a few questions about being a backup quarterback, being a quarterback number 2. I don't like calling him a backup because I know nobody wants to be a backup. You know what I'm saying? But I call him quarterback number 2. And he talked, and I thanked him. I said, man, I appreciate you for always being able to find Rico Gathers in the end zone. And you want to know why I believe, a backup quarterback's mindset is let that thing rip. They're not really worried. Cooper Rush wasn't worrying about throwing an interception. He was just worried about trying to get the score. And a lot of times, that's what Tony Romo did. Tony Romo didn't give a damn. He threw that ball up, and he had faith that Dez was going to go get that thing. And guess what? You need to have one of those athletes on the field. Why? Because they're matching at football. There's always going to come a time in a game where it's going to be best athlete on best athlete. We had one of those moments in the Rams game where we tried to go 4th and 1 against Aaron Donald and goddamn Sue. Oh, yeah, Sue, he's washed up. Okay, well, we only need you to be great on this one play.
Let's go with Aaron Donald.
Yeah, but you get what I mean? Just like Sue didn't have to be the greatest. He just needed to do it one play, and he did it. One play.
We're the Dallas Cowboys. We run off the offensive line. We're gonna take Lemony, and we're gonna take Williams, and we're gonna, Zach Martin knees kind of banged up, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna be the Dallas Cowboys, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna 4th and 1, we're gonna impose our will, and when we impose our will, we're gonna use Ziggy, and we're gonna run at the strength of their defense, and we're gonna win this game behind Ziggy.
Absolutely, Boss Cowboy. Hey man, before we get up out of here, man, let them know where you come, man. I love, like you say, man. I love people who pay their bets, man. God dang, he pay their bets, man. I gotta love it, man.
Somebody pay their bets,
man. They pay their bets, man. They pay their bets, man.
I can't wait till I get all my bet money on all those people. I bet that Dak was gonna get more than 27 million.
And put it to you like this, you know what I'm saying? This is what I did, you know what I'm saying? I had a bet with somebody about Dak Prescott not making. I got some push-ups on the line, and I bet somebody, you know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna probably lose the bet on it. I ain't tripping. But guess what? I also bet somebody that Dak was gonna get over 30, and I got my $50.
Hey, really, that's true too, man. I'd rather do the push-ups than lose money.
Hey, man, you saw what I did, though, right?
I forgot, man, you made that bet. We made a push-up bet.
Yeah, but you heard what I did, though, right?
What'd you do?
I bet somebody that I took your bet. I'll probably lose that one, but I doubled back and took another bet for a win. Bet somebody $50 on somebody I knew. But hey, let them know where you can. Let me go grab this real quick. Let them know where
you could definitely find me on all the platforms under Boss Cowboy Sports. So especially on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But my Twitter handle is backwards is Cowboys_boss. So I just wrote 3 articles. They all go more than likely drop this week. So they all kind of, typical Boss Cowboy where it's going to be analytical. You're going to be able to, break down different numbers, because on one of them I'm talking about what really happened with the quarterback market and what really happened with Stephen Jones' negotiations with Dak. On another one I'm talking about that what we really want as a fan base is to stop being upset when people hate Dak. Don't be mad at it. Don't even try to defend him as much as we do. You know why? This is the big reason why. Because Dak is his best when he's doubted. So really, we just kind of need to look at it from that point of view, and it will make people that support the quarterback less emotional when we see the ridiculous hate, because what they really doing is fueling him. And it's just a fact. And, I just kind of go over in my article just all the different case and points on every time he's doubted is when he goes and rises to the crazy. Like he becomes like a different person. It's like he becomes obsessed with proving you wrong. Like the fact that Jerry Jones was publicly doubting him with Paxton Lynch, and the fact that they were shopping foes. He came out with the ones with even no reps and basically should have put up 100% completion percentage in his first preseason game. And then when you look at all his preseason games, when all the pressure was on him to really secure his backup job before Romo got hurt, he outperformed Goff and Wentz, the number 1 and number 2 pick combined in passing rating. So, and I got multiple examples, even all the way to where Jerry was saying even the whole season, how he was just longing and hoping for the return of Romo. What did that do to Dak? He went on an 11-game winning streak and broke a franchise record, and what did they say in week 14? He'll say we'll know when we see it. That's what Jerry said about Dak. It meaning we gonna know when to take him out and put in Romo. What did Dak do with that? Oh yeah, he went out there and broke another completion percentage record. You know what I mean? Against Tampa Bay. So and I got too many examples, and we all should know, even by his track record of being in game-winning drives and winning them, that he's his best when he's doubted, and he's his best when it's hard. So we need to embrace the hate. Don't get mad at the hate. Embrace the hate, because it's gonna make our quarterback better.
Yeah, but as a coaching, as an organization, you have to also understand we can embrace his talents, but his indeficiencies, the things that he needs help on, we have to also support those things. You know what I'm saying? And in supporting that, you would have liked the Cowboys to get some big wide receivers who can jump. You know what I'm saying? Like, we did this big old thing on Dak friendly wide receivers, and something that I think the Dallas Cowboys just did not do, man. And I hate when they try to fix. It's like like some of these problems that. When you have a problem scoring points, you cannot just put that all on one person to fix. Like, you can't just be like, oh, the only reason we couldn't score points is because bad play calling. No, bro, it's more than just that. Because there's a lot of bad play calling teams that are scoring points. Like you don't have to be a bad, like the Cleveland Browns, I'm pretty sure was not a better team than the Dallas Cowboys, but they were scoring more points. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and we beat teams who do score more points than us. They just couldn't score more points that day. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just about, Kellen Moore is going to be the god. You know what I'm saying? And if he is, he deserves to be a head coach. I'm sorry. If Kellen Moore single-handedly changes us from 19 points to a scoring high points offense, give him the head coach. I don't want to hear nothing else. That's the most important thing in football. Can you score points? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, that's the only thing. That's the thing I kept saying. Like, yes, I think our biggest issue last year, 2-year issues last year, was stopping the run and scoring points. Did we do enough to stop the run? I don't know. But I know we threw a lot of stuff at it. Like, we had a hole in our run defense. We threw a lot of stuff at it. We drafted a kid. We got some undrafted free agent kids. I mean, I want the Cowboys to go after Mike Daniels. I ain't even going to lie. I would love for the Cowboys to go after him. You know what I mean? Every team that makes a Super Bowl run always gets that late savvy veteran at the end right before they go into practice. The Rams did it with Sue. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles did it with a lot of teams do that. They bring that extra veteran presence on there. And to be honest with you, man, I would just love to see a combination of Tank with a veteran defensive tackle. Not a guy who's about to surprise the world, but a guy who already knows him. And then I'm going to also think like this. Mike Daniels had a down year last year when he got injured. He was out 6 games. But other than that, he's been the same dude.
Marshals.
You're gonna, and then what I'm also having the most faith in.
Right.
I was gonna say Jesus, but but Jesus of the defensive line, and that is his Lord and Savior, Rod Marinelli. I'm just saying, bruh.
It's just true.
Can we give Rob Marinelli one guy that might be able to wear a gold jacket and see what he can do?
Oh,
You
you know
gave
what he
Sanjay
gonna do.
Lyle a guy. You gave Sanjay Lyle his guy, Amari Cooper. Give Rod his guy, man. Give him a guy where he can just be like, that is how you do everything great. You know what I'm saying? And just make him greater. Bro, if you
Man,
give
won a
Mike
Super Bowl
Daniels the
with
Rod,
that.
oh my God.
We won a Super Bowl with that.
Like,
And
he'll save Mike Daniels'
the
career.
timing of it makes it Marshalls. The timing of it makes it
Ooh,
Marshalls.
that was an article. What'd you tell me about that?
I mean, I wrote an article about the Marshalls picks. You know,
So
those.
would Mike Daniels fall in a Marshall's pick category? And kind of explain what a Marshall's pick is, and kind of explain.
Marshalls. So I don't know, because the show is all around the world, and we got people all around, like Joe Trina in Italy. Some people are not familiar with Marshalls. Marshalls, especially in Texas, and they are kind of like a mid-market clothing store, and most of their inventory comes from high-end marketplaces, right?
Face,
so you get some of their places from Macy's, Neiman Marcus, and stuff like that. And so when Neiman Marcus have over inventory, overstock, or flaws in their product, they send it down to Marshalls, right? And they sell it to Marshalls, and then Marshalls sell it to the public. So you getting a name brand look for off-brand price. Yep. So that's why we call it Marshalls. So the same thing. So we look for particular players that might be off price, and sometimes you can have an off price because it's too much volume and depth. Sometimes you'll get a new coordinator, like what happened with Quinn, and they went from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So he would have been playing linebacker where it's best for his hand to be in the ground. That made him a Marshall's pick, And you have a player like this where they drafted well for defense, and he coming off injuries from last year, but he still has that good name and that upside pedigree to him. That's Marshall's. Dez is Marshalls, straight up. So it's like where you getting those off brands that have some flaws in them, but you getting them for cheap and betting on upside. And if you really look at like Philadelphia, like look at it. When they won their Super Bowl, their primary players was all Marshalls pick. Jeffries was
Jeffries.
Yep, was coming off steroids. Blunt was called a troubled player coming out of Miami. Blunt was the Blunts. Straight up. That's
Bloods. He like to get high.
Yeah, he had some suspension issues or a suspension issue, so he was bouncing from team to team. And then you had Foles, who had upside from when he was at Philly, but was called a bust, right? Yep. So they got him for cheap, but he had that upside, and they won the Super Bowl with it. So the smarter teams use Marshall's picks, and if you look, because I wrote about this, so I know about this in a lot of detail. The better teams shop at Marshalls. New England, Gordon was Marshalls.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I got so many examples of Marshalls. That's also an article that I wrote. You'll have to go to my page to look at it, though. But, I mean, I got a lot of examples of Marshalls picks. And, yeah, this guy's definitely one. I'm glad you brought that up, too, Wesco.
Yeah, I mean, because, I like the move. The reason why I like the move, also, people are saying, yeah, but the Cowboys would never do anything like that. That's not what we do. To be honest with you, that's another reason why I like it, because it's something like we ain't never did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're absolutely right. Like, you're absolutely right. Like,
you get the Marshalls.
Like, you're absolutely right. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is something that we would normally not do. But guess what? Like, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to do stuff that we would normally not do. You know what I'm saying? Stuff to shake some things up. And then that's what we're telling everybody, this year feels special. Okay, well, if it feels special, let's do what other teams have done in those years when it feels special. And that is what? Bring in some key guys for key situations.
Yep.
Like, you got to think like this, man. We're going to be playing Saquon Barkley. You know what I'm saying? We going to play some running back. We're going to play some teams that can run that game, run the ball. And also, I want to let you guys know, the NFL now knows how to beat the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
And the formula is what? Run that ball, especially up the middle. And it wasn't even no $15 million running back that did it. And no disrespect to C.J. Anderson, but it was C.J. Anderson.
Yeah. So we're not playing. Like, when we talk about this stuff, this is research that we've really done. This is not so we're not pulling stuff out the air. We're not hoping and guessing. This is major research and major debates. And most of these debates that sometimes West Coast and I agree on now was stuff we didn't agree on before. You know what I mean? So this came from an innovation of us disagreeing before we agreed and fighting through till the truth came out. And now we're on the same page on some of this stuff. You know what I mean? So so we're not making up stuff about Byron Jones. We're not making up stuff about Marshall's pitch. We're not making up stuff about Dez. We're not making up stuff about the quarterback that we looked at earlier, you know, that we just signed. I mean, but we go back and forth on this stuff because it's all about being a true, serious Cowboy fan out to uncover truth. That's the truth of why me and West Coast rock so hard.
Yeah,
it's the
and
truth.
then also another
being right. It's about the truth. So when West Coast corrects me, and I've been wrong on here many times, and he'll say Marcus or he'll say boss, I don't agree with that for this reason. When he's right, I go with him. When I'm right, he goes with me. And so in the end, we both end up smarter.
Yeah, and then also you got to say it like this, you know, shout out to another article that you also wrote too. You know, this also goes under the premise of like Mike Daniels has a lot of what in his brain. And also, can I remind you guys, he's only 29. He's only 29. He just turned 29. That means
that's Marshall.
he can still got at a defensive tackle position, he can still play about another 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I don't need him to get sacks. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking him to stop the run and tackle guys all day. Can you clog a hole all day? And then also think about this.
He was 29.
And then he's only 29. And think about this. You draft Tristan Hill. Imagine putting Mike Daniels there, dropping him there. That means Tristan Hill doesn't have to you don't gotta force a Tristan Hill on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can naturally get better like everybody else in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like Tristan Hill is going to get thrown in a position where we're going to need him to play, and we're going to need him to play good. And guess what? That's not how it always works in the NFL. And a lot of players, and most players, don't really respond well to that unless they're like a top 10 pick. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you drop a guy like that, Mike Daniels, in front of him. Antoine Woods is going to learn from him. Who else? You know, Malik Collins is going to learn from him. And I'm going to be honest with you, with him getting on this team, that means a Woods or a Collins or a Covington, one of them guys would probably lose their job. But also, I'm looking at the betterment of this team, man. This is a guy who has played at a high level for a long time. You know, he's coming from a team that has culture, so you're never going to have a problem with him. He's just going to be always a good influence on those other guys. I think he would fit right in with them hot boys. I just think it would make too much sense, like him or Snacks. I just think it would make too much sense because if you get this type of guy on a playoff run, he is going to play the best football of his career. And Donovan Sue is not a Ram because he did messed up. He's not a Ram because of the money. That's it. Because they liked him. You know what I'm saying? And guess what happened when you put him right beside Donald? Donald got 20 sacks. You know what I'm saying? Imagine how many sacks DeMarcus Lawrence will get with Mike Daniels beside him.
Man, let me add one more big point to what you just said. Stephen Jones said it all season. He said it all season. He said the way that Rod plays these guys, we have to have depth at the defensive tackle positions. He said it all season. So what he's saying is this. Rod demands so much effort out of D tackles because, usually D tackles, what they can do is if they don't stop the run and they get past the front line of defense, they can kind of lag a little bit and just, see if the linebackers run them down, see if the cornerbacks and safeties get them on down, and they just kind of trot up there for the next play. No, Rod don't play that. When you're on the field, you're going 150 miles an hour everywhere you're going. Yep. And matter of fact, Rod grades like this. He say, if I see you slow down, I take away because that means you wasn't going 100%. No, he said, if I see you speed up, I take away because you wasn't 100%. So when you have defensive linemen moving like that, the injuries start adding up. That's what happened to us in the playoffs. We didn't lose to the Rams just because they beat us on the line. We was beat up in the middle. Everybody in there from playing under Rod was banged up. Let's just be honest. That's why we had to have Reed out there as a practice squad player, because our depth was that depleted by the end of the season, which goes to just the West Coast points. It makes even more sense from looking at hindsight and learning from it to overstock the D tackle position.
Yep.
Whether you have way too many D tackles on the Rod than defensive ends.
Because that's what we ran out of. Think about this. Dayton Jones was chilling on the sidelines with me. David Irving was high somewhere in Dallas. Antoine Woods got hurt in the game. Like if we had another person come in, if we would have had another,
I was struggling.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you, if we would have had another defensive tackle, Antoine Woods would have never came back in that game. He had surgery the very next day. Like he came in the game because Karan Reed, number 51, bless his little heart, was getting killed.
Yeah. So we gonna learn from history. It goes
So think
to
about this, boss. Even if we win that game, we wouldn't have had Antoine Woods for the next week.
Yep. We would have went the next
David
team.
Irving would have been active. That's what have happened. We would have found a way to get him active.
It would have had to because we didn't have enough. So that's why even Tristan Hill alone is not enough. You need a Covington is not enough. I would rather us be deeper and overstocked in defensive tackle than understocked because we already learned from it. It's like I don't want to learn that lesson twice that we learned the first time.
Yeah, because if we learn if the same situation happens, then you're looking on your safe. It's 100% on you. Like if we're ever in a position where we run out of defensive tackles, that's 100% on us.
Yep. So I would rather take one less quarterback, one less tight end, and I would rather take 2 more DTs. I really would. And somebody got in my inbox and went crazy on me because I said if we had Jihad Ward, that whole game would have been different against Rams. They said there's no evidence of that. I said,
yes,
look,
it is.
Yeah, I gave it. Why do you think they gave Rod the pick at 58? That was a Rod pick. But according to most grades, Tristan Hill was a reach. But Rod liked him. So he was like, Rod, we riding with you because we learned our lesson, not listening to you.
Exactly. And so that's why and to be honest with you, it's like that game we lost. The biggest losses that we had last year, Indianapolis, 126 yards on the ground. Another situation. What happened in that game? We could not stop the run. Why couldn't we stop the run? Well, we had guys out. Like that's just real. Like we had guys that could not play. You know what I'm saying? So so it's like you have to be able to stop the run. Like the 2 biggest things in the NFL, and if you're trying to make a playoff run, is can you run the ball and can you stop the run? If you can do those 2 things, you're gonna go far in the NFL.
Yep. Because last year was the first year in a long time that we carried 4 tight ends. I want 3 this year, and I want 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, because we need those extra positions.
We need that. I think we need to put those extra people on that 53 on the defensive line. Period. Period.
Absolutely. So hey man, it's been a great show, man. We've been rocking on here for a minute, man. We've been on here damn near 2 hours, man. This is good. We've been on here exactly an hour and 52 minutes. Like, look, hey, shout out to everybody that's been rocking with us this entire time. I was on the show watching it. I was literally on the show. Then I started getting ideas on how I can make the show better and start doing it in the middle of the show.
Do it work.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, have one of, hey, there's some great stuff coming. I want to give a special shout out to Producer G, man. My boy Producer G got on the show and did some reworks on my show, man, and just got us looking really, really clean and really aesthetic.
Appreciate that, producer.
Got us looking really good, man. So I want to give a shout out to Producer G, man. But yo, man, we up out of here. We are definitely up out of here. You guys already know what it is, man. I am West Coast Cowboy. He is a Boss Cowboy from Boss Cowboy Sports. And shoot, man, you guys already know what it is. Never look down because the star is up. Peace.